Testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're back. And I'm back to, there are times when I get back to pondering, back to questioning. I'm wondering if I'm doing the right thing in my life, if I'm going in the right direction. But when I find that I don't want to know the answer, I dive back into movies right here on Backlit Cinema, the podcast. I'm your host, Zo, that's Z-O or Z-O for the cinema fans overseas. It's the 97th episode. Thank you for downloading or streaming. We really appreciate it. We're going to take you back to the movies of yesteryear. We're going to talk about the movies that we loved to watch when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. And as promised, I have a special guest for you for this episode. The person that I'm about to introduce to you is an extraordinarily popular, highly intelligent fashionista whose incredible ideas and insights are setting the world on fire with their podcast, Black People Love Paramore. Ladies, gentlemen, and gender fluid, please welcome my guest, Sequoia Holmes.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. That was the warmest welcome I've ever received in my life. Fashionista, I'm adding it to my resume. So thank you so much for that title. I thoroughly appreciate it. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I had to put that there after stalking you on your social medias, and I've seen you had this, like, I don't know even what color it was, kind of like orange or like a brownish orange. It was like almost like a sweater, but it covered your whole body, and it was sparkly, and it was like you were at an event. It was. I saw it on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. I went to a wedding and the theme was outdo the bride and groom. And so I had to naturally
so that was
outdo
actually the theme of the wedding?
That was the theme of the wedding.
Oh my God. You didn't even try to wear white. You just wore something fancy.
No. That was like the one rule. We could not wear white, but everything else was up for grabs. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's awesome. So I want to ask you about an episode that kind of stuck with me. So this was phrases, idioms, and colloquialisms on your show. And this was interesting to me because I love to dabble in language and look for the meanings of words and stuff like that. And I like, looking up stuff. And the thing that I had trouble with, like, growing up was, like, even though my English, nobody's going to mistake me for speaking proper English, at least not in the business world, right? Really only like in the hood, like when I'm growing up, people ask me, why you talk so proper? I'm like, it's what my grandmother wanted, right? But it's like, I'm the nerd. I'm the straight A student. I'm trying to speak properly. So I never got fully comfortable with using all of the, idioms and colloquialisms because I didn't feel real. I felt like if I used one, then I would, like, I could use slang, but like using like a full-on phrase, if I tried to use a phrase, then I felt like I was trying too hard. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to be cool. And then the other people can sense it. It's like, you ain't cool.
Totally get you on that. Yeah.
But to that end, I don't know if you've heard these phrases. So this is around Washington, D.C. Okay. So like bumping. You ever heard of bumping?
Bumping like the music is bumping.
Yeah. Anything could be bumping, not just
right.
The music. Right.
It's just lit. It's just it's good.
Right. So as a slang, I could say that, but I couldn't say bowdy. I couldn't say it. I felt fake if I tried to say that.
That's fair.
And part of the reason was because I didn't actually know what it meant. I know what it means now.
Right.
It's something like being real, or being I forgot. There's something more popular now that people say, but
it's like I'm with it, or like down for whatever type thing.
Down for whatever. That's what we say now. But yeah, so there were certain phrases that I just couldn't say. I think the one, if we're going to go with colloquialisms, there's a couple that I used when I was growing up. So one of them was hold on, how did it go? My ding-a-ling is on the bone. That we used to say that growing up. Yeah.
I've never heard that one.
You haven't heard that one? That was and like a mug. You remember that one?
Oh yeah, like a mug.
Like a
sure.
mug,
yeah,
because we couldn't say motherfucker. And for some reason, they frown on 7-year-olds saying motherfucker, but ding-a-ling.
Why would they? Right,
totally
ding-a-ling's
okay.
fine. Right, ding-a-ling's all good, but
So yeah, so that's
motherfucker. You can't say that.
Yeah, so that's what it was. I was gonna write you a whole letter, but I was like, nah, let me just go ahead and talk to her. She's gonna be on the show. It was gonna be a lot because I was in my feelings listening to that show.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I like listening to your podcast because it's like, yeah, I know that. I like that. I'm feeling that style. Yeah, I understand where they're going with this.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
And so another thing that I saw in your post is that you didn't want to you wanted to dress up for Halloween, but you didn't quite do it, so you kind of just dressed as a cheetah girl, which is a really good outfit. But what I wanted to ask is that, so what did you dress as before? Like, what was you going for this Halloween?
So I actually had 3 costume plans. The Cheetah Girls was one of the outfit plans, and I executed it the way that it was executed, but that was going to be like my low-key outfit, but ended up being my main outfit. Right. The second one was Gwen Stefani from the Holla Back Girl music video. One of my friends had her birthday this year, and her theme was come as your favorite celebrity Libra. So I came as Gwen Stefani. I had a blonde wig. I had the exact outfit from the video, and so I was going to wear that again on Halloween, but I ended up not being able to put it in my carry-on when I was traveling. Like, I didn't have room for it. And then my main costume that Etsy canceled was going to be Aaliyah. And it was going to be Aaliyah from is it the Try Again music video? I want to say. And she has like this sparkly crop top and leather pants and like dramatic makeup, and I was going to do that, but they canceled my costume, and I was very annoyed. Very annoyed.
That kind of hurts.
Halloween's my favorite holiday. Every year I do the most for Halloween because I am obsessed with it, and this is the first year in a long time that I was not able to, and it did kind of hurt, but it's okay.
Is that the only time you cosplay on Halloween? Do you ever go to like the cons and stuff and do that?
So I have not been to a con, but I did my first non-Halloween related cosplay. I think it was the beginning of 2020, and I had just seen, what is it? Promising Young Woman. Did you ever see that movie?
Nope.
Okay, Promising Young Woman. There's this portion where she like dresses up like a nurse with like this rainbow bob wig with fringe bangs and like a nurse, and she's supposed to be a stripper, but she ends up, never mind. I don't want to ruin the movie. But I essentially did that cosplay. Okay. And it was very fucking fun. I put it on TikTok and TikTok liked it. It was fun.
Yeah. Awesome. So I've always wanted to like do like an extensive cosplay. Like I got a whole Darth Vader helmet that I can play, but I'm not tall enough to play Darth Vader, right? But
you can definitely play Darth Vader. Do it.
I'll be a short Darth. I'm more like Darth Helmet from Spaceballs. That's what it looks like. It'd be a short Darth Vader. That's an embarrassment to Darth Vader. I wanted to do that, but I feel like, man, it just has to be right. Like, I don't want to look bad, right?
No, I do feel that. Like, I do take cosplays like kind of seriously. Like when I'm taking when I'm doing my Halloween costume, I'm like kind of serious about it. I like everything to be very accurate and like very correct. So I definitely feel you. But at the end of the day, it is supposed to be like fun. Right. And I try to remind myself of that. Like, this is fun. It's not that serious.
Right. Like, it also looks like a lot of work. So
it is a lot of work, but it's worth it. But it is.
So with the holidays coming up, are you going to take a break in your podcast?
No, I don't have a break planned. I might get burnt out and be like, okay, I'm taking a break, but I am pretty, I have a backlog right now of episodes that I haven't released yet. So I should be good through the rest of the year. I think maybe I need to record one more episode for this year, but otherwise I'm pretty good for the rest of the year.
So what's the episode that you want everyone to listen to?
Ooh, can I say 2?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Black colloquialisms, idioms, and phrases is one of my favorite episodes. It was so funny. Actually had good educational pieces to it too, because I had 2 journalists on it, and both of them are writing a book called Historically Black Phrases. Right. So that's a really good episode. And then the second one that I really, really love, I want everybody to listen to, is the Twitter episode. Black People Love Twitter. Oh, that might not age as great now. But but Black Twitter is the thing. If you know, you know. And,
right.
That also had 2 journalists on it. Funny enough, I guess I just like when the journalists come on because they know so much, you know?
Right.
But we talked about having been canceled on the internet before, just like all the experiences with Twitter. And it was also a really good episode. So yeah.
Right. Man, it's that, and I'm just having fun just watching it. I feel like a person outside the house watching the house burn down. That's what I feel like.
Right. It's like, I'm like, people keep being like, oh my God, make sure that you have your account backed up and that you have other channels to talk to people. And I'm like, I don't really care if this damn thing goes down. Like, fine, I'll be fine.
Right. I'm thinking that, I put a tweet that I put out I started a Mastodon account, but not because I'm serious about Mastodon, only because I wanted to use the Mastodon theme with the Black Power Ranger going Mastodon.
I love that you had the edit in your head already and started the whole account around the edit. I love it.
And I was specifically looking for the original Black Power Ranger.
I love it. I love the commitment.
Yeah, it was surprisingly hard to find.
Really?
Yeah, I kept finding like the second Black Power Ranger. I was like, I don't want that guy. I want the original Black Power Ranger.
Where's the original guy? Right.
And I finally found him. So yeah, I was happy when I finally found him. But anyways, let us transition. I'm so bad at transitions.
Same. I feel you.
So we're just going to transition. I'm going to press a button on a machine. We're going to play some music, and when we get back, we will talk about the movie that we watched. Probably too loud.
They'll be all right.
Right. So the movie that we watched that we're going to talk about today is a film classic from back in the 90s, written from a classic author and a book series that seemed like everybody was reading at the time I was growing up. So the film we watched was Waiting to Exhale. Mm-hmm. So Sequoia, please tell us more about Waiting to Exhale.
Oh, for sure. So 4 best friends have it all in various ways, created successful lives for themselves, but what they lack and what they desire in a person with whom they can seriously, romantically, and honestly share their lives with. They are all looking for a special someone to fill the void in their lives, and their attempts may come with varying degrees of success and failure. They are all looking for a chance to just exhale.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I did not get that from IMDb. This time I wrote it. And
nice.
As Harrison Ford once said, he was speaking to George Lucas at the time. He said, George, you can write this shit, but you sure can't say it.
Me. Literally me. Yes. Understood. Yep.
So anyway, this movie was released December 22nd, 1995, produced by 20th Century Fox. It grossed over $67 million in the U.S. and Canada and over $81 million worldwide on a $16 million budget. And it had great reviews. So they knocked it right out of the park with this one. They did well.
Right out of the park. God.
They did extremely well. And the director surprised me because of who he is. I didn't realize it was
too.
Or I forgotten that it was he who directed it. But we're going to get to that. So started off on who's starring in the movie.
So we have one Miss Whitney Houston as Savannah. She's from The Bodyguard, Preacher's Wife, Sparkle, and I'm sure you guys know her from other things as well.
Yeah. Only a couple other things. She didn't have like she did a
not
couple
movies.
of TV, right.
Just
she did
songs, music, and other stuff. Yeah.
And she did a couple of TV movies. But she was great in this movie. Surprisingly good.
So good. She also executive produced The Cheetah Girls, and she executive produced, what's the other damn movie? Oh, Princess Diaries.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So both of us, we had talked earlier about a movie that this next actor was in. Her name being Angela Bassett. She played Bernadine. She's just been featured in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. She's also been in Strange Days and Olympus Has Fallen among a bunch of other movies. And man, getting a double dose of Angela Bassett over the weekend, man, that can set you back a little bit. You have to step back and you got to take a break. It's that's hard hitting right there.
That is hard hitting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's impactful.
That's serious acting and very impactful. I'll tell you that. Speaking of impactful, another impactful star in this movie, Loretta Devine. She played Gloria. She's also been in Crash, Medea's Big Happy Family, and This Christmas. Loretta Devine is such an iconic Black actress, like just all over the place. Career spans decades, like fantastic. We love Loretta Devine.
Yeah, she's been everywhere.
Yeah.
Up next is Layla Roshan. She played Robin. She's been in Any Given Sunday, Gang Related, and a movie that we featured on this show and many episodes ago, Harlem Nights, where she played Sunshine for various reasons.
Okay. I've not seen that one.
Right.
We have Gregory Hines. He played Marvin. He was in History of the World, Part 1, Running Sacred. Nope. Running Scared, and Renaissance Man.
I was like, did I write Sacred?
Right. No. I just can't read. That's it.
Because I could have wrote Sacred. But yes, Running Scared. That was another movie that we featured. And he's just great in almost anything that he does. Well, he did. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace to Gregory Hines. Up next is Dennis Haysbert. He played Kenneth. He's been in Far From Heaven, Heat, The 13th Floor, but what I neglected to add, because it's not a movie, that most people really know him, not only from the Allstate commercials, because we're all in good hands, but
fuck yes.
the 24, and I'm sure they only got it for his voice, but 24, where he played the president, almost like predicting Barack Obama. So that was, yeah, right?
Yeah. Wow, a time. That's wild. Ooh. Okay, next we have Mykelti Williamson. Did I say that right? Please.
Yeah, it's good enough for me.
Right. Who played Troy. They were also in Forrest Gump, The Purge, Election Year, and Fences. Jesus, a career.
Right. Do you remember? You didn't see Forrest Gump, did you?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't watch movies like that.
Okay, that's all right. That's
I
fine.
Don't watch it too often,
Bubba
so
Gump
no.
is an old movie, but it's a classic movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny, right? Because the only thing that I can remember him playing besides in this movie is in Forrest Gump, where he played Forrest Gump's battle buddy, and he wanted to go, like when after the war they wanted to start a shrimp fishing business, and he had like he was extremely country in that movie. Just country. His face was all contorted. Like he was on the spectrum. I was like, oh my. And
I love it.
Like, it's so good. It's like people actually thought he was like that. So.
Yeah. Oh, wow. An actor. We love it. A range. Yeah.
Committed.
Committed.
Awesome. So up next is Michael Beach. He played John Sr. He's been in Aquaman, If Beale Street Can Talk, and Soul Food, and seems to be that guy that plays the asshole, and he does it well because he plays the asshole in Soul Food. So if you haven't seen him he basically plays the same character as in this movie, but kind of worse.
Fair. That's one I have seen. Soul Food.
Right.
A good one. Next, we have Leon, who plays Russell. Leon's from Cool Runnings, The 5 Heartbeats. Yeah.
Oh, did I write that twice? That was an accident.
Okay. The 5 Heartbeats is fantastic.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's a good time.
And up next is Wendell Pierce. He plays Michael. You may have seen him in Selma, Horrible Bosses, I Think I Love My Wife, but what you really remember him as Bunk in The Wire.
Yeah, certainly. Yep. Next, we have Donald Faison. What was the name of Tariq? Tariq played Tariq in this one. From Clueless, Skyline, and Remember the Titans. An icon, literally an icon.
Yes.
As my friend told me, I watched Waiting to Exhale with my friend. Did we already say the title? We did.
Yeah,
yes,
we did.
Okay, great. I'm like, did I just spoil it? Okay. Anyways, I watched Waiting to Exhale with my friend yesterday, and he told me that Donald Faison's Halloween costume this year was reprising his role from Clueless with his daughter who dressed up as Dion from Clueless. And I'm like, that's so fun. I love that. That's so cute.
That is. And hasn't really aged, really. He looks
No, yeah. Incredible.
But like seeing him seeing him in this movie, I was like, oh my God, he's such a baby.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's playing a 17-year-old in this movie, I think.
Right. Jeffrey D. Sams played Lionel. He's been in Soul Food, Big Shot, and The Kaminsky Method. I don't remember him from anything, really.
Right. Yeah, me either. Oh, this name here. Giancarlo?
Close enough.
Okay. Esposito? Yeah.
Yes, that's a good way to pronounce it. He was on that's how we say it in America. He was on a Mark Maron podcast, and he says that the proper pronunciation, like the way his family does it, is Esposito.
Esposito.
Because even though people think that he's half like Mexican or something, he's actually half Italian.
Yeah, I figured just Italian. Yes, that I'm sure that happens all the time.
Right.
He played David Matthews, I guess uncredited.
Yeah, he was not credited in the movie.
Other stuff that he's been in is Breaking Bad, The Usual Suspects, and The Mandalorian.
Right.
He also quite the resume.
Right. He spends most of his time on television, but whenever you see him, he is always a delight because he brings a gravity. I think this is supposed to be a cameo for him because he was a rising star already. Another rising star is Wesley Snipes as James Wheeler, and his role is also uncredited.
Wow.
And it was a surprise. Like when you see it, I saw this in the theater, right? So you don't see him, and all of a sudden the camera pans up where he sits down. It's like, oh, it's Wesley Snipes.
Yep.
He's been in Blade, New Jack City, White Men Can't Jump, and Passenger 57. And this is when he was like at the height of his stardom. And yeah, he's fantastic in this movie.
Yeah. No, he really is. Should I tell him who this is directed by now? Should we reveal that?
Yes, let's.
Okay. This movie is directed by one Forrest Whitaker.
What?
Okay. Isn't that wild? And Forrest also directed First Daughters and Hope Floats.
Right.
I didn't know that Forrest had a damn directorial reel in the first place. So this was news.
Yeah, that is news to me. And apparently he's directed a lot of, like a handful of music videos, now kind of transitioned to directing television, and that transitioned to these couple of movies. Now, Hope Floats was a moderate success, and First Daughter was not good. It did not make any money. And so after that movie, he was like, well, I guess I've made my mark, right?
Enough.
Kind of stepped away from direction. And you can also find him on Andor. He has a small role because he had a role in the movie that I mentioned, Rogue One. So he was in Rogue One, so this shows him in Andor. He's playing the same character, just being weird. So
that's literally, I said that to my friend last night. I'm like, I can't believe Forrest Whitaker directed this movie, because now Forrest Whitaker doesn't even touch movies that are not a little different. Like this is like there's always some sci-fi element or fantasy element, or like, so he's playing a character that's like very layered or something. Like there's always something a little different about the roles that he takes on now.
Well, in this role, he's like the rebel version of Darth Vader. And also,
that's fun.
He played, you remember The Last King of Scotland?
Mm-mm.
So that is where he played Idi Amin Dada, an African king. Do you know anything about this guy? Idi Amin Dada. So he was accused of cannibalism. He was a horrible African leader. He did some terrible things. He was a dictator. And read up on him. I don't know his full history, but he was a bad man. And then after you read up on him a little bit, you could probably watch The Last King of Scotland, where Forrest Whitaker is just doing great things, doing the Lord's work.
Doing the Lord's work, as he does. As he does, yes.
So this movie was written by Terry McMillan and Ron Bass. Terry McMillan wrote the novels and the movies for Waiting to Exhale, and How Stella Got Her Groove Back. She's still writing, and she's still making movies from her books. So she's still doing a dang thing. And Bass, he wrote Rain Man, Entrapment, and What Dreams May Come. so my relationship with this movie is through Terry McMillan's book. So when I was growing up and taking the bus all the time, and just you spend time reading on the bus. And when I got on the bus, it was like several women reading novels. And it was like everybody was reading it. So I got to figure out what everybody's reading. And I think it was Disappearing Acts. I think that was the one. So I read that one first. And then after I read Waiting to Exhale. So yeah, and because everybody was reading it, and I was a voracious reader. I was gobbling novels when I was growing up.
Nice. Yeah.
So tell us about the music.
So I will say the soundtrack of this damn film, the score, whatever you want to call it, it's fantastic. Music by Kenneth Babyface Edmond, who also made music for Ghostbusters 2, Boomerang, Bad Boys. And then from Waiting to Exhale, we have Exhale, Shoot, Shoot by Whitney Houston, Sitting Up in My Room by Brandy, classic, Not Gonna Cry, Mary J. Blige, incredible, It Hurts Like Hell, Aretha Franklin, and Count on Me, CeCe Winans and Whitney Houston. What?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, he was doing the work. So
wild.
This is, I like the soundtrack actually better than I like the movie. I
must have too.
I've listened to the soundtrack thousands of times.
Thousands, countless. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I love the. So this is just some of the songs. These are the most impactful songs of the soundtrack that my favorite songs. Do you have any favorite songs from the soundtrack that's not listed here already?
I don't have any that are not listed here, but I would just like to underscore Sitting Up in My Room, Brandy, and Not Gonna Cry, Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
Just gonna underscore those.
Yeah, those Not Gonna Cry was the theme of the movie, right? They actually played that a lot too. It's like she's singing the trials of Bernadine. Like I worked for 11 years as your secretary.
Jesus Christ. I was like, I think that I made that connection that this was actually about a character in this film and was likely written for the film.
Right.
When it was playing, I was like, oh shit, the lyrics are like so dead on.
Right. So I think it was specifically Exhale and Not Gonna Cry that was written for the movie. Maybe Hurts Like Hell was also written for it. And maybe Count on Me, I think that was written for the movie. But I'm not sure if Sitting Up in My Room was.
But
that's one of my favorite songs that Brandy put out.
No, truly. They also had a Minnie Riperton song that was, I don't remember which one, but there was a Minnie Riperton song that was playing at some point in the movie. And me and my friend heard the whistle note. And we were like, was this in the house? Or was that like, it was like in the background of a scene? And we were like, what was that? And then I listened, I was like, oh, it's still playing if you listen.
You have an outstanding stereo system.
Right. And we don't, which is what's crazy.
Right. So that's it for the opening credits. And if you're enjoying the show, remember that you can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, face masks, jerseys, and more at our website, backlickcinema.com/shop. Remember, Christmas is coming up, so go ahead and get yourself something nice. Details it will be in the show notes. And just hook us up. If you buy something from us, then you're making our Christmas special. And then in turn, you make your Christmas special because you're having a lot of neat gifts to give. So I think the cutoff is around December 11th or something like that before you get, so that you can get your stuff before Christmas happens. So do that. Do it now. And
now
I'm going to play another music note, and when we get back, we'll be talking about our favorite parts. And we're back to talk about our favorite parts of Waiting to Exhale. So, tell me, Sequoia, what were your favorite parts of the movie?
My favorite parts were the parts that are memes now. So when Angela Bassett lights the car on fire, naturally absolutely. Walks away.
Right.
Iconic.
Right.
The part where I don't remember characters' names. I'm so bad at names. She's up on the balcony and the drunk guy is on the ground and he goes, "You raggedy bitch."
Right.
And that is a meme that takes me out every single time I see it.
Right.
So I was having a good time. I don't know if you've seen that one meme of God. Ooh, what is his name? The dude from Titanic.
You talking about
Leo DiCaprio.
Right, Leo DiCaprio. Right.
Pointing at the screen when he's watching a movie. That was exactly me while I was watching this movie.
Right,
matching all of the memes. I'm like, that one. Yeah. So those are my favorite parts.
Yeah, I just saw that like right after I saw the movie. I started watching YouTube videos, and then there's a guy, he was doing an explainer for, I think it was Black Panther, and he used that meme with Angela Bassett burning her car. That he used that meme to prove a point.
Yes. Oh, you had an Angela Bassett weekend. You've been Angela Bassett down all weekend. Yeah.
Right. It's a good thing I don't watch 911. That would have ruined me. So
too much.
Yeah, it's too much. So I caught some more things. Like as I'm watching movies, I'm trying to take some notes, and because that helps me remember, because my memory is garbage. And so one of the things I noticed is that, so remember when John Sr., that's Bernie's husband. So Bernie is Angela Bassett. He walks in the room and he says, "I want you to come with me tonight." And in the background there's some music playing. And then he says, "I'm leaving you." And at that moment you hear the emergency broadcast system. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, the emergency broadcast system came on at that moment. So it's like her heart is like a symbol that her heart stopped when he said that, and that was some BS right there. Because he said,
that was.
There's no good way to say this. No, there's no good way. There's no good time. It's like the best way to do it is just go ahead and have sex with somebody else in front of her.
Right. That would have hurt less, probably. Okay. God. The best way to say it is to not say it at all. Is to stay with your damn wife. Yeah. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah. The best thing to do is to cut off this relationship with this other woman. But nope. He was like, I mean, in ways it's kind of admirable. He's like, he was just telling her straight up, but it's also really arrogant and what's the other? I can't think of the other words, but it's truly arrogant to just dump your wife like that. Just like after you deferred all of her dreams to build you up, right? And then because she wanted to start a business, she wanted to, like, this is all the things that she was saying when she was piling all of his belongings into his car, right? So she's grabbing all the stuff, and she was like, I've been your secretary for 15 years. He's like, honey, why don't you start your catering business next year, right?
Or 2 years or 3 years. Right. So bad.
Raising his 2 children, and then he just decides that he's just gonna dump her for no reason, really. Like he just
no reason.
I want this other woman, right?
So bad. I feel like that doesn't even really happen that often. Like, how often does the other woman get? Like, how often do you leave your wife with other women? I feel like that doesn't happen.
Well, men leave their wives for other women. I should say people leave their wives for other women all of the time. But they rarely announce it. Usually they get caught, right?
Right, exactly, right. It's not like an active, like, oh, I'm leaving you to go be with her. It's like, oh, I'm trying to do both, and now I got caught being with her, so now I'm going to go be with her.
So in a way, I can admire him, because at least he had the balls to cut off his relationship, because he wanted to be with this one other woman. But it's still dirty. It's still so bad.
Yes.
It's so dirty. Mm-hmm.
At least he was forthcoming, but yes.
I'm a man, and it made me angry. So
right. Yep.
So one of the notes I wrote is, Bernie is angry, and that's her piling stuff up in the car, and then pouring kerosene on it and driving it out into her yard and setting it on fire. I feel like it's too close to the house.
Way too close to the house.
But she was following the law. The fireman came. He's like, you're not allowed to
burn trash.
You can only burn trash. No, you can only burn stuff if it's trash. And she says, it is trash.
It is trash. Yeah. I loved it. I was like, okay, listen, if it's Angela Bassett was acting in this, I'm like, per usual, Angela Bassett is always acting. But I'm like, yeah, no, I like it.
And there's something I wrote about Robin, but I don't know if I can read it. Something about when she said she could have had a V8.
Oh my God. I forgot about that part. Yeah. She was like, this is a waste of my time. I could have had a V8. Wow. Remember when that was such an insult at the time?
That was a meme. That commercial was a meme.
That was the first meme. Was that the first ever meme? I think it was.
No, it's not the first ever meme, but it was definitely, I think most of the commercials at that time informed are memes, right?
That is such a good
So
point.
on a previous episode, we had talked about A Few Good Men, and we talked about where the title of that film came from. And that was because the Marines' motto at the time was, we're looking for a few good men. That was the motto. That was their tag. And everybody knew it. Everybody knew this tagline because everybody watched commercials. We don't watch commercials anymore, but we do now. Or I Could Have Had a V8. That's another commercial. The Army was Be All You Can Be. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew the jingles for the commercials, and those were the memes that we
God,
right?
So many jingles. Speaking of, just a caveat real quick. My niece asked me, what are ads on TV called? She was like, she's 10. She was like, those advertisements that come on television, what are they called? I was like, commercials?
Right. She was looking for that word. She was looking for the word commercial.
She couldn't remember. She's so used to using her iPad and like saying commercials, quote unquote ads that way.
Right.
She's like, I don't know what it's called on TV. Oh my God.
You can call them ads. They're still ads.
You can still call them ads, right? It's just an ad. If you want to sit with that, that's fine. But like, please stop making me feel old. Thank you.
Right. Also, old people call them commercials. All right. So So and the same way. So Michael was the guy that she was with when she said I could have had a V8. And oh my goodness. It was like I was looking at me, and I didn't like that. I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like what I saw. It was wrong. It was not wrong. It was not correct. Now I wasn't as goofy or as weird as he was, but I definitely I could feel it. You know what I'm saying? I could empathize with him being like mad excited, being in the wrong. He was not in the correct position to do what he thought that he was doing.
Right.
Yeah, he thought he was in there, and he was not. He missed the target.
Right. And her lack of excitement definitely showed.
Right. And I can empathize with that. But see, I've always been told if I was not on target, I've always been told if I was not in the correct position, because everybody wants to be. And so for whatever reason, he was so excited that he moved so fast that she didn't really have a chance to tell him that he was not doing what he thought he was doing. So that was, I felt embarrassed for myself and for him. So that was poor guy. That was too rough. So that was the note I wrote on Robin. So there's Bernadine, when she started selling all of the stuff off, everything was $1. She sold a car for $1. She sold skis for $1. She basically had a dollar store in her front yard, and that
was a bad move. A bad move. And then how you gonna need money after that?
Right.
Like you sold everything for $1. You should have sold it for this face value.
Yeah, that was the problem. I guess because she took for granted that he was going to take care of her. And he was trying not to. He was trying to get out. Oh, so this my favorite part was when she walked into that office, and that white woman was like, "What do you want? Can I help you?" And she slapped. She was like, she smacked out of the way with a fury and a quickness. It's like, why would you do this? Why would you come between you sleeping with her husband, and you're going to come between her and her husband, and you the problem. You
don't open your mouth to me.
You should have.
And that's when she opened her mouth. Look what she did. Look what she got.
I'm coughing now. I'm choking. She should have
just sat there. She should have just sat there, right, and been quiet, or got out the room.
Not even sat there, because she was going to get it. She should have ran away.
You gotta go. What was funny was after she slapped her, and she kind of like hits the ground, or like it like throws her body a little bit.
Right.
And then you just see her scurrying out of the room in the background, and that shit had me dying.
Right. She didn't want none of that smoke.
Nah, certainly not.
So that was a great one. So Gloria's ex was a problem. That was the previously mentioned Giancarlo Esposito, or Esposito, however you like to pronounce it. And I always like seeing her, but it was kind of messed up what he did to her. So
what did he do to her? I forgot.
They talked about the last time she was trying to get him to stay and wait for his son. She basically kind of trapped him, because he was like, "Where is Tariq?" And he's like, "Oh, he won't be until tomorrow, but you can stay tonight." Like she was trying to recreate the time that they had previously. But he had mentioned like, well, you remember I couldn't perform, and or something
Right.
to that effect, and she was like, well, yeah, it'll be alright. It's like, no, I'm gay, and she was like, huh? Right?
Right. Right.
He said he's been bisexual for a long time, and then he said he was gay, and then
Right.
he's like he wasn't feeling it anymore, and I was like, oh, that's heartbreaking. She was
Yeah,
heartbroken.
she
Tariq was
was.
heartbroken. I was kind of
Yeah.
they all had the only thing that was it was too much of men performing badly, and it's if I had to, one critique, it's like too much. And I
Right.
was like, come on, they can't all be bad. It's
Right.
like
Come on.
Leon,
Come on.
come on,
Come on.
Leon, come on, you can't all be bad. Like,
What was I gonna say about the that part? Oh, she's like, oh, you don't have to lie. Like she like is assuming that he's just rejecting her and that he's just lying
Yeah,
about being gay. It's like,
right.
no, baby, no, he's really
Right,
gay. Like he's really gay. Like it's not you.
Yeah, because it was unheard of to just for one, for a man to admit that he's gay, and for two, it's like for somebody to just turn gay, I guess, but he hadn't turned gay. He was always bisexual.
Exactly.
He was always
Exactly.
he was basically, he grew up always being attracted to both sexes, and then he
Right.
just lost his attraction to women. So that could happen. And then there's
Yeah.
the other thing is that I think he would in a way, because gay people had, especially in the early 80s, you have to stay in a closet, right? Or you'd be attacked or ridiculed, or you'd be discriminated against. They didn't want none of that, so they tried their best to fit in. So
Conceal.
they tried to conceal it. So they would actually get married to women and try to raise a family, even though that's to protect themselves, right?
Right.
But
Right.
he basically made the decision that he didn't want to live that life anymore. That's probably why he
Right.
left the first time.
He wanted freedom. And
Yes.
I feel it.
Right,
Yeah, I get it.
right. Which is
No.
very hard to do in during that time, especially.
Right.
So yeah, I'm hogging all the favorite parts. You got any more that has jogged your memory?
So I can't. I didn't actually end up liking the movie.
Okay,
That's like the whole thing.
that's fair.
It was my first time watching it.
Right.
It's something, you grow up with a Black mom and you've heard of Waiting to Exhale your whole life, so I was like, okay, let me finally go ahead and watch this movie.
Right.
I was like, oh, not for me.
Right,
Okay,
right.
Not for me. So my favorite parts were really just the meme parts, because I'm like,
Right.
oh, this is funny.
Right.
And Angela Bassett, any scene with Angela Bassett was fantastic to me.
Right.
Yeah, but that was it. Overall, I was like,
Well,
wouldn't watch it again, but
I appreciate what the movie was trying to do, right? It was trying to tell basically a non-traditional type of relationship story where they had four friends, like all trying to accomplish something, basically
Yeah.
the same thing, because they were rather successful, except maybe Bernadine, but rather successful in their other portions of their lives.
Yeah.
but not successful in this one area that they really wanted to get right. They're all
Exactly.
having problems with it. So none of them really had like a truly happy ending. They all had to basically discard the things that wasn't working. Only really Gloria could basically move on with like a new life, but the other women, they basically had to move on without accomplishing their goal, at least in the time period of the movie. But so I appreciate that, but I do get that there were a lot of story beats that were kind of just dropped, and it kind of it could leave an audience dissatisfied. But and then it didn't have a strong connecting narrative, because it was trying to tell four different stories.
That's the big thing. That was the big thing where I was like, I'm not seeing a plot necessarily. Like I'm seeing a lot of things happening, like certainly, but I'm not seeing a rising action, like, oh, I'm not seeing a hero's journey. In anywhere,
Right. I think Girls Trip was an improved version of Waiting to Exhale.
Girls Trip is so fucking
Girls
funny.
Trip was amazing.
Girls Trip is
but
so
it didn't focus on relationships, but it was an improved version because they had a through narrative with the four people. So if they were able to make that connection, make a through narrative, it would have been a much better movie. But at the time so I would say that this movie didn't age great, but at the time that I watched it, I really enjoyed it. Probably because I was on a date. So
right. No, this is a good date movie. I can definitely see that.
It's better as a date movie. So I really enjoyed it as I was on a date. So So that worked out well.
Yeah.
And you can laugh at all, like the mean parts you mentioned. That's the parts that you remember about the movie. Like when you leave that movie, the one thing you remember is Angela Bassett burning that car down. You remember that.
Okay.
You remember her slapping that woman.
Certainly.
Right. You remember those parts, and that's what you take away from, because at the very least it gives you something. You leave the theater, you can take something away from the theater, and that's why this movie works for a lot of people.
Yeah,
and it worked for me at the time. Now I can look at it more critically and says, it could have been better.
There's a whole bunch of stuff like that, but it also worked for my mom at the time. You know, like my mom, I told her that I watched it for the first time, and she was, first of all, disgusted that I had never seen it. Right. She was like, so what'd you think? And I had to break it to her that I did not love it. And she was like, that's one of my favorite movies, right? I'm like, yes, Mom. Yes, I know. I'm so sorry.
Right.
And she's like saying it like threateningly, like, it's one of my favorite movies. You know that? Why would you say that? I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I'm so sorry.
Right. I guess I believe that it could be just the nostalgia that she's never going to dislike this movie. Like
100%.
Yeah. But she might be able to see like the issues that this movie might have. She might 100%. Be able to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I am missing my soundboard. That is amazing. How did I must have accidentally X'd it out. All right.
No.
Well, at this point in time, I would usually press a button, but instead we're just going to be silent for a moment, and then when we come back, and during the silence, I'm going to edit it so that it has some music. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about trivia. All right, now we're back, and we've got the trivia from IMDb. We got that. We got straight facts, and we hope that you enjoy them. So why don't you let the audience know about the first fact that I was able to dig up?
So during the car burning scene, Angela Bassett's monologue was completely improvised because she's an actress, an actor, if you will. Okay.
Right. She was feeling that scene at the moment. She apparently experienced something.
I feel it.
She says, "I know exactly what to say at this moment."
Right. She said, "No lines. I got this."
Right. According to Whitney Houston's longtime bodyguard, David Roberts, Houston suffered a cocaine overdose during the film's production. Ooh.
What?
Yeah, what people don't know about Whitney Houston is that she was a round-the-way girl, and she.
What?
And people like to blame Bobby Brown for her adoption of like whatever behavior,
drugs.
Yeah, drugs, liquor, all this kind of stuff. And no, she was. The reason that she was attracted to Bobby Brown because they were both like that.
Wow. Okay, yeah, this is like way before the timeline that I was aware that she was using like drugs of any sort. So that is definitely a trivia fact for me.
Right. Yeah, she was all about it already.
Another one, Angela Bassett would later make her directorial debut in Whitney, 2015, the Lifetime original biography film about Whitney Houston. It's like a full circle moment.
Yes, it is. Now, I've seen the trailer for another Whitney Houston biopic that's coming out in theaters. Have you heard or seen anything about that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I saw it in a trailer in a movie theater.
Yep. Right. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know if I want to watch that one. Just like I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I wanted to watch Till. Till is out in the movie. It's been in theaters for a while.
No, I cannot do it. I simply won't do it. I'm so sorry.
Right. I was like,
no,
that's gonna have to wait.
That's a hard no.
I'm immersed in too much other things already. So that's gonna have to be postponed.
I not to put a damper. I just went to the African American History Museum in Washington, D.C. like 2 weeks ago, and they have like an Emmett Till exhibit. And I was like, why would I go see this movie? This was extremely heavy.
Right.
Why would I go see a movie? This is supposed to be films are supposed to be entertainment. This is not entertaining.
Right.
I don't want to see what? No. Yeah. So no, I'll be missing.
Yeah, you didn't want to be traumatized. Yeah, I happen to live in the area and we've been there a couple of times. And yeah, it's a great museum, but that's a hard exhibit to go to.
Fantastic. Yeah, definitely.
So if you haven't been to the African American Museum of History and Culture in Washington, D.C. Make sure when the next time you're in D.C., you find a way to make it to that museum because that is
Truly
awesome.
fantastic.
So up next, Forrest Whitaker stated in an interview with Ebony Magazine that Robin Givens and Halle Berry were among the women who auditioned for the role of Robin. After casting Angela Bassett and Whitney Houston, he decided to go with relative unknowns for the other two roles, and the role of Robin was subsequently given to Layla Rashawn. Rashawn, Berry, and Givens have all previously acted in Boomerang from 1992, and each shared love scenes with the star Eddie Murphy. Did you see Boomerang?
I did not.
That was another movie we did on the show, and that's definitely, I think that you would like Boomerang better than you like this movie.
Okay.
This movie was trying to be like, basically it's a romantic drama, but Boomerang is rom-com. It's probably one of my favorite rom-com, basically because of Eddie Murphy, and that's just a fantastic movie. Also with a killer soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. If something about a 90s movie, it was going to give you a killer soundtrack. Was Boomerang in the 90s?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was going to give you a soundtrack.
What you call it? Top Gun had a killer soundtrack.
Top Gun had a fucking killer soundtrack.
Kenny Loggins was making the soundtracks back in the day. Footloose had a killer soundtrack. Yeah, they all had. Like, if it was... There were certain movies that if they was going to make a soundtrack, it was going to be outstanding. They knew what they were doing.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Next one. Director Forrest Whitaker and Angela Bassett will work together again 23 years later in The Black Panther, 2018.
And director Forrest Whitaker was the unanimous first choice of the film producers and screenwriters.
Okay, come on, Forrest. Forrest had previously directed an HBO drama film titled Strapped, 1993, for which he received Best New Director's honors at the Toronto Film Festival. Waiting to Exhale 1995 marked his directorial debut for a theatrically released film.
Yeah, he did extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
According to Layla Rashawn, the love scene between her and Wendell Pierce took 2 days to film.
Oh, no. No. I'm just cringing even worse. Please.
Right.
According to Whitney Houston, the scene where her character Savannah talks to her mother at work on her cell phone was filmed 2 days after her real-life mother, Cissy Houston, was inducted into the R&B Hall of Fame. Oh, wow.
Isn't that cute?
That is nice. Yeah, that's great.
Finally, Whitney Houston would go on to work with Angela Bassett's husband, Courtney B. Vance, in The Preacher's Wife from 1996, 1 year later. That film also starred Denzel Washington, whom Bassett worked with in Malcolm X from 1992. So yeah, Malcolm X is a heavy movie. That was outstanding.
Heavy and long as hell too.
Right,
Every time I've tried to get through the entirety of it, I have not. But I've seen, I think, bits and pieces of it to make up the entirety of it.
It's hard for me to watch a Spike Lee movie, but Malcolm X was one of my favorite ones.
Same.
Because Spike Lee doesn't feel finished. Like he's like Stephen King. Stephen King's one of my favorite writers, but near the end of the novel, there's a problem finishing it and tying things up. I always feel like he got a problem at the end. His short stories are better than his novels because at the end, there was one novel that it was a whole series of novels called The Dark Tower. It was a series of like 12 books. Even he knows he has a problem because at the end of the last book of the Dark Tower series, he says, "Dear reader, I caution you not to go on. You don't want to know what happens."
Oh no, he knew. He knew.
It's you're not gonna like what you're about to read.
Yeah, he knew his shortcomings. I definitely feel that about Spike Lee though, because what was the last Spike Lee movie I watched? I think it was The Black Klansman.
Yeah, that. I don't know which one the last one you watched, but that's
the last one I watched. But that is
one of his later movies.
Yes, and that did feel. I didn't like the ending of it. Like that. I don't want to spoil it, but he does seem to have an endings problem. Where I'm like, this was fantastic. I was having a great time with that movie until the end. I was like,
I think the worst ending I think was it was one with Denzel Washington, and I forgot the name of it, but he was like kind of like a police investigator, and he was supposed to be stopping this. I think it's called Inside Man, I didn't like the ending of that one. That one bothered me. It's like, come on, man. Make me feel good at the end of the movie.
Make me feel good at the end of the movie. That's really all I ever want. I am a happy ending type of girl. I promise you.
Right.
Don't piss me off with a realistic ending. Don't do that. I don't want it. Thank you.
Right. So now that we have finished with talking about our favorite parts, our next part, we're going to talk about what the critics thought. Hold on. Before we continue, I want to break in with a special announcement. My friend John from the Movie Lovers Unite podcast will be doing a live interview with renowned film and TV actor Coleman Domingo from the long-running TV show Fear the Walking Dead and the critically acclaimed Candyman reboot movie. On the Movie Lovers Unite podcast, Coleman Domingo will talk about his most recent project, a short film called New Moon. Don't you dare miss Coleman Domingo on the Movie Lovers Unite podcast on YouTube on December 22nd at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Movie Lovers Unite YouTube channel /podcast channel. I'll leave a link to the Movie Lovers Unite YouTube channel in the show notes, and they can also be heard wherever you listen to podcasts. And now, back to the show. And we're back. I want to talk about what the professional critics thought about Waiting to Exhale. The critics gave it a 61%. The audience score was 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb reviews has it at 7 out of 10. So why don't you let us know what the first critic thought? Oh yeah, the IMDb reviews are almost always going to be slightly lower than Rotten Tomatoes because people don't like to give 10s to movies. Not that this movie is a 10, but they're always like a lot lower than what Rotten Tomatoes is.
Okay, I understand that. So first reviewer, David Anson of Newsweek says, it takes an old-fashioned soap opera formula and refurbishes it for the age of Oprah. What that means is while the script by Macmillan and Ronald Bass serves up moonstruck romantic fantasies, it speaks in the language of self-empowerment. Okay. Wow, that's good. That is a good line. Yeah. Nice job, David Anson. That's good. Another reviewer, Emmanuel Levy says, of EmmanuelLevy.com says, stylish but shallow melodrama based on Macmillan's bestseller. And agreed. +1.
Yeah. I would say that he has a point.
Yeah.
That there are sometimes when I find reviews that are like negatives, and sometimes like, man, you just being negative to be negative. And then a lot of times I like to find reviews that are like, you know what? You got a point. I'm gonna give you that.
You got a point. and also I would love to point out that he did say stylish, and the fashion choices, the hairstylings, the makeup choices, everything was really good in this film, especially for of the time.
Right.
Makeup, hairstyles, all of that was struggly in 1995, especially for Black people. Like the women's colors were never correct. The hair was, they didn't really give a hair budget like that, but everybody looked really fucking good. So
right.
He did not lie.
So Christine James from Box Office Magazine wrote, there are some humorous observations, irrefutable truths, and good performances that make this movie worthwhile to those in a man-bashing mind frame.
I'm done. Please, Christine.
She's not wrong.
Please. In a man-bashing mind frame. Wow.
Yeah, the men in this movie were trash. And
they certainly were. My whole thing, I feel like on the opposite end, my issue with the movie, the frame of the movie overall, is kind of the notion that they can't excel without a man. And so I'm like,
well, that could be it. Another one is like, there is a particular man, so they're holding their breath that this man will be the one that they're looking for. And then, like, when Whitney Houston, she's dancing with that dude, it's like, is this going to be the one? Can I dance with this dude?
And I exhale.
Right. I was able to relax and let my guard down. I was able to go ahead and just, it's better in the book. Right?
Okay, I'm you know what? And another thing about this movie is it did read like the book, or like it sounded like it was coming from pages of actual book text as opposed to script. So I can definitely believe that. Right.
So I get that. It's not so much that they're depending on a man, but it's something that they want. and
Okay, I
then
mean,
and just
certainly.
like can I finally please God, can I have this one thing?
Can I have it? Right. Can I just have it? Okay. I'll take that. Yeah.
Right. And finally, Susan Stark from Detroit News wrote, "For all the pleasure there is in seeing effective and great-looking Black women grappling with major life issues on screen, waiting to exhale is an uneven piece."
Well, wow.
That's fair, because I felt
That's a good take too.
yeah, because I felt that there were some story beats that were like the one story beat that kind of bothered me was so Layla's character, Robin, she's supposed to be with Wendell's character, who is Michael, right? So it's and they seem to be getting along, and then you have this point where Michael, they're co-workers, so Michael is criticizing her for her work, and she's his boss.
Oh yeah.
So she decides to fire him, but it's like you don't get the whole story, right? It's only like later they show up at a club. He's with another woman. They apparently had broken up already, and it's like, well, like this is a whole story right here that you kind of dropped. And so what you should have did is either made it better, like show us a little bit of what happened, or not have her be with Michael at all, because she also had this other dude, and you could have just focused the story on her and the other dude, Leon, instead of cramming Michael in there, because then that story is incomplete. So that was like one of the things that I believe that a lot of people were talking about when they say is it feels uneven. So I get that. I can feel that. But still,
I get that. Certainly.
I can certainly feel this movie's age, but at the same time, nostalgically speaking, I truly enjoyed it when I first watched it. This is on the level of Transformers, the movie. That I know that movie has problems, but I totally love that movie when it was...
No, I get it. I do think it's a nostalgia thing. Yeah, I do think like nostalgia will like definitely help us hold on to things that like quote unquote don't age well. But what I really enjoyed, somebody who was watching it for the first time, is seeing these women who have been on my screen for so long in like one of their earlier roles, and I'm like, wow, look at fucking Angela. Like, she was out here killing it, like as beautiful as ever, including now. I had just seen her in Black Panther like a couple days earlier, so it like definitely holds some value. Just the storyline was not my favorite, but a lot about the movie was fun.
I need to see some of her other movies. I have to admit, I hadn't seen it, even though she's one of my favorite actors. I haven't seen a lot of her work. So one of the movies I want to watch is What's Love Got to Do with It? That was a Tina Turner story.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure she's awesome
fantastic in there.
Right.
She's fantastic. Have you seen Boys in the Hood?
Oh, she was in that one, wasn't she? She was, she was, but it was such a small role, but like she had to put dude in his place, right? So
but she was in there. Yeah, she did what she needed to do.
She's good at putting men in their places.
If one thing Angela Bassett's gonna do is that, okay? And she gonna play some variation of Angela Bassett. That's what I imagine she's like. Not that I know her, but that's what I imagine because I've seen her do it so often.
Right. Just like in Black Panther. So one of her most powerful scenes is when she was saying, "Have I not given everything?" I was like, oh gosh. It came out
actually
like a
really
wave.
good.
Right.
No, that shit was really good. She said, "Have I not sacrificed everything?"
Right.
I said,
right. And so it was more impactful in the theater because like in the trailers, you hear her say it, but you don't know who she's talking to. But when in the theater, when you see it in context, it's like, oh no. It's like, it hurts.
Hurts. Hurts.
Right.
That's how I can sum up a lot of that movie. Hurts.
Right. Yeah, it was a story about grief. Except, I don't know if you've seen WandaVision. So, WandaVision.
I didn't see WandaVision. I saw Doctor Strange.
But here's the thing about WandaVision. WandaVision, most often when people talk about it, is that it's about grief. It's great for people who grew up in a time period because it apes like the sitcoms from back in the day, right? But the great thing about the series, why people say it's their favorite series, is that it's a story about grief, and she goes through all the stages of grief, and she's grieving, and then she somehow, and it's basically her trying to get through her grief, right? So, but see, this is a grief of a fictional character, but in Black Panther, it is real grief of a real person. And it's like I remember like still getting into arguments with people. Like one of the arguments in Black Panther is that these people are just using Chadwick's death to make movies. I'm like, oh my God, these people knew Chadwick Boseman. They knew him. He was their friend, and now they gotta basically go on without him. And so they didn't feel comfortable recasting his role. That was his role. That wasn't like it was they didn't feel like it was a legacy role. They felt like it was his role and that nobody else can play him. So they wasn't feeling that at the time. I mean, now I feel like they're softening their position, but before, like at that time, that's not what they felt. So when they're filming it, and you got all these other difficulties going on, it was filmed during COVID.
Yeah.
You got all of these trial and tribulations. You have the director getting caught up in a bank situation, which is crazy.
I forgot that happened.
Yes, right. So
yeah, that was not cool.
He was banking while black, and so so you had all of these different things. Plus, you're trying to make a movie, you're basically making a memorial to a friend. And it's like, so in these scenes, when they're feeling their emotions, they're feeling their real emotion. You see actual pain.
100%.
Right. So it's like, how are you saying that these people, it's like they're acting like they're sad. These people aren't acting. Like if you know anything about acting, these people are not acting. Right?
No. That end scene, again, I don't want to spoil. Never mind, I'm not going to spoil it. But yeah. No, it's.
Don't want to spoil that
one. Yeah. Right. I'm not going to spoil that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that was you gotta wait like 3 weeks for to spoil before you spoil that one.
100%. You gotta give people time to hit
right. Gotta give them time. So anyway, it's being spoiled like hell on the Twitter. So don't get on the Twitters if you.
You just gotta mute the words. You gotta mute Black Panther. You gotta mute the name of every character so you could it just don't pop up on your timeline.
Right, because I am going back and forth with it with a bunch of people. So anyways. Finally, Waiting to Exhale is, as of this recording, available on HBO Max. That's it for today. Please join us next week when we welcome back Gene from my streaming bubble and one of my favorite movies, True Lies. Follow us on Twitter or TikTok at Backlick Cinema, or on Facebook or Instagram at Backlick Cinema Podcast. And I started a new account at Mastodon on the Mastodon party server. And you can find that at mstdn.party/@Backlick for updates. Don't forget that you can contact us with any questions, comments, or suggestions at fanmail@backlickcinema.com. Just one note, I only started the Mastodon account because it was just something to do. It's probably not going to be too much posts on there. But if I was going to start an account, might as well tell you about it. So one last time. Sequoia, I almost forgot to ask, do you have any additional plugs?
Additional plugs. You can listen to my podcast. That's really the only plug I got. Black People Love Paramore. You can follow us across all social media platforms at BPLP Pod. You can follow me across social media platforms at Sequoia B Holmes. You can email me for topics that you want me to cover on my podcast at blackpeopleloveparamore@gmail.com. That's it.
So when you say across all social media platforms, you're chiefly talking about Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok, or am I?
So let me be clear. I don't have Facebook.
Okay.
But everything else, yes.
Okay.
Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, yes.
Okay, awesome. And that's it. One last time, if you like this show, then please help us grow. To do this, you can subscribe to the show, rate us, write a review on Spotify, Podchaser.com, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. I know you've enjoyed our guest, Sequoia Holmes from Black People Love Paramore, so please check her out on her show and her TikTok channel. Believe me, it matters. Be safe, share a movie from yesteryear with your family, hug your loved ones, and if you're gonna be anything, be outstanding.